Hey guys, welcome into Fantasy Fix, presented by MyBookie.ag. I'm your host, Rachel Holt. I'm joined by Darren Hartwell. Darren, thanks so much.
Oh yeah, good to be here.
Yes, and it is the busiest time of the year for fantasy football players.
It's like
Christmas.
Christmas.
We call us that? Players?
Owners,
okay, we can be
players,
whatever.
Player managers.
Fine.
Yeah.
Whatever makes us sound official and cool.
Right.
It is the busiest time of the year for that. Many people already held their draft. I know this weekend, Labor Day weekend, was a big draft weekend. We held our Nesson.com one,
We
so
did.
we'll dive right into that. But more likely, people are setting their lineups. There are a few people that are probably squeezing in those last-minute drafts. They're procrastinators, so that makes me a little nervous about them. Do you really?
I got one last minute, so gotta get it in.
So there are those people too. But okay, so let's talk about last night's Nesson.com draft first.
Yeah.
You were the commissioner. You put this together. I was actually at the Dell Technologies Championship in Norton, Massachusetts, and the internet kept on cutting out. And at first I was mad about this because it was happening during the draft, but then it got me thinking that I could just blame this at any point throughout the season if I'm not doing too well. I can say, hey, remember when I couldn't draft that player I wanted to? Yeah. But let's talk about your team first off. What were the big surprises for you?
Well, I guess for me, so Yahoo gave me the C fantasy grade, nice, nice and average. I think, we'll see how that plays out, but I think I might have reached a little bit for Ty Montgomery in the third round. I just like Montgomery, and I like the Packers' offense this season. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. Jordy Nelson is healthy. They had the full complement of weapons. Montgomery could play a big role out of the backfield, so I'm a little high on him, maybe higher than I probably could have waited a couple rounds to get him, but that's fine.
You got to be bold.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the pick that I do like kind of later on is I got Kirk Cousins in the seventh round, and I think that in terms of the waiting for QBs, a lot of people have different QB strategies in the draft, whether they want to take someone like Brady or Breeze early, or I kind of like waiting for that next tier down, guys like Cousins. He was a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
And you got Derek Carr as your backup. That's not half bad either.
Yeah. And
I don't know how you managed that one.
Well, once the 10 teams kind of draft their quarterbacks, if Carr is 11th, if you pick him up before other people get their second quarterback, then you can kind of go from there. So.
Okay, well, I also got a C in my draft, so yeah, tune into our fantasy football podcast. We're doing great things over here, apparently.
Experts.
No, I actually took 2 ex-Patriot players that I'm kind of curious to see how they'll do for me. Martellus Bennett, of course, with Green Bay now. And then I couldn't let LeGarrette Blount go. He kept on falling down the draft board. I don't know if you were watching him drop and drop and drop, because people are not sure how he'll do this year with the Eagles. But then I'm thinking, this guy had the most rushing touchdowns in the league last year.
Yep.
I mean, I got to scoop him up. So I took him.
I think it's a good value pick.
Okay.
He's low enough.
I just didn't want you judging me throughout. That was one where I could, because the internet was working for me at that time. So that's all on me.
Time will tell.
And how about this person? Scrambled eggs. Someone did an auto draft, which was kind of annoying because we had maybe 3 people doing auto drafts throughout.
Yeah, it was
so
a
we had to
little
wait for
shaky.
them.
Yeah.
Not cool. But this person, Scrambled Eggs, they shall remain nameless.
Yes.
An anonymous person of Nesson.
How
about they actually got payback for doing the auto draft, because Yahoo gave them Julian Edelman out with an ACL tear, Spencer Ware out with a PCL tear, and then they got Cameron Meredith too, all in the same draft.
Yeah. Also out with the ACL tear. Yeah, this is the importance of the waiver wire, I guess. He's going to have some work to do. He's going to have to scramble, if you will, to pick up some replacements.
We'll get into that waiver wire. First, I wanted to talk about last-minute draft advice for those people like you who have a draft going on tonight or maybe tomorrow. Any late developments that owners should keep an eye on at this point?
I think one to keep an eye on is the Colts situation, which is not good. Scott Tolzien is gonna start week 1. It looks like in placement of Andrew Luck. We're not really sure when Luck is going to come back, and it's not looking good right now. So just in terms of guys like T.Y. Hilton, I think earlier in the summer he was almost a top 10 pick, maybe like top 10 or top 15. Right now, if you have your draft tomorrow, I would steer clear of him. I think he should maybe still be in the first 2 or 3 rounds, but I'm not taking him anywhere near that top 10, given they don't know who's throwing him the ball. Dante Moncrief is another guy whose stock dips a little bit. He's the number 2 behind Hilton. He had a really good season last year, but again, We don't know who's throwing him the ball. We don't know what Luck's status is going to be. So yeah, the Colts' offensive attack in general, I'm not too keen on.
If I remember correctly, Andrew Luck kind of went high in terms of quarterbacks in our draft, if I'm remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
People
he
still
did.
want him. Yeah.
I mean, it's a big name. This is a guy that was I think he was 1 year he was the top fantasy player in all of the fantasy football, but he can't get on the field. So
Tom Brady was of course, the first quarterback.
Oh yeah. It's
Always.
New England Sports Network.
We're homers. All right. So Willie Snead suspended 3 games following his DUI. What's happening there?
Yeah, that's the other big one to monitor. I actually like Willie Snead, and I drafted him in one of my leagues, so this is a pretty big disappointment for me. In terms of if you're going into your draft, Michael Thomas's stock takes a boost because he's the clear-cut #1 receiver, and there are kind of fewer options. He gets a bigger slice of the pie, so to speak, of the Saints' passing attack. But I guess as far as Snead is concerned, I think you can maybe wait a little bit longer. He might be like a deeper sleeper just because he's missing the first 3 games. He already was a sleeper going kind of in the later rounds. This is a guy who, when he gets back on the field, he's going to be the #2 receiver on the Saints, as it stands right now. The Saints passing attack, Drew Brees, one of the best passing attacks in the NFL. I think he's going to see a ton of targets, so you just have to put up with those first 3 games. Maybe you find a replacement, but if he's still around in round 12 or 13, I'd say scoop him up.
I like deeper sleeper. I like the ring to that.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about that week 1 waiver wire, because if you're like scrambled eggs in our league, you're looking for people.
Yeah.
Poor guy who auto-drafted. Now, looking ahead, who are some guys you're looking at this week?
One guy, we said that we're in the New England Sports Network. One guy who's making a lot of waves around here is Phillip Dorsett. Obviously, he goes from the Colts situation, Scott Tolzien, to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Definitely a plus there. It remains to be seen how he kind of factors in. He's a brand new receiver. It could take him a while to assimilate into the offense, but I just think on this offense without Julian Edelman, he might see some touches. There's a reason why they went out and got him. They traded Jacoby Brissett for him. Maybe he's not a week 1 ad. Maybe he doesn't contribute against the Chiefs right away, but he's amazingly fast. Go along with Brandon Cooks. I think those are going to be some 2 real deep threats. So he could be kind of a home run target there. And I think just going forward, he's gonna see a role in this offense. I think he's worth adding. Definitely in deeper leagues. I think he's only owned in 9% of leagues right now, so he's kind of under the radar. That's obviously going to change now that he's on, Tom Brady's team. But I think he's worth adding going forward.
I just completely stayed away from Patriots players this year because I had a lot last year, maybe 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, and it was too sporadic for me. There was no consistency. They did well 1 week, they didn't the next week. It was too much, so I just stayed away. But I did get ex-Patriots, so I at least have a little bit of that hometown feel. Martellus Bennett and LeGarrette Blount, as I said. So anyone else on the waiver wire you're looking at?
Yeah, another injury replacement. Maybe Scrambled Eggs could take note of this one. Kevin White on the Bears. Cameron Meredith was the #1 target going into the season. Now he's down. Kevin White figures to be the next guy up. And, this is a guy who had a pretty quiet rookie season. He had his own injury troubles, couldn't really stay on the field. But the opportunity is there, and that's all you need in fantasy football is opportunity. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, the quarterback situation, Mike Glennon, maybe Mitchell Trubisky. He likes to go by Mitchell instead of Mitch. So that's not ideal, but I think he could develop some sort of rapport with either Glennon or Trubisky over the course of the season. And the volume, the chance for volume is there. You should see a lot of targets, and it'll be up to him to make the most of those.
All right, well, there you go, scrambled eggs. And by the way, scrambled eggs, again, they shall remain nameless, but they are higher up at Nesson, so we should probably not make fun of them anymore.
Yeah, that's all right.
We do it out of the kindness of our heart. We're just trying to help you out.
Just the facts.
Let's look at some week 1 matchups that fantasy owners should consider exploiting.
Yeah, so one that I'm looking at is Jets versus Bills. This should be a doozy.
Jets. By the way, did you draft any Jets players? Because that was one
not.
Piece of advice we gave earlier last week.
Avoid the Jets.
No. Stay away.
Yeah. But in this case, you want to target the Jets, especially if Tyrod Taylor is playing, I think he's in the concussion protocol right now. His status is kind of unclear, but if Taylor's going for the Bills, he's still on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues. I would pick him up just considering how bad this Jets defense is. He could put up some serious points. Season opener against what could be a very bad, possibly 0-16 Jets team.
Ooh,
so
calling it.
Yeah. And beyond Taylor, I think if you have LaShawn McCoy, I think that's a great place to employ him. Jets run defense, they have some good players in the front seven, but still I think McCoy can exploit that. Jordan Matthews, I think he's still a little banged up, but if he goes, then I think you should certainly toss him in there.
Well, according to mybookie.ag, the Bills are 8-point favorites, and I don't know. I want to ask you about this. The over/under is 40. It may not be that high scoring they're predicting. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I
think maybe on the Jets side.
Yeah, Jets have Christian Hackenberg, and if Taylor doesn't go, then yeah, I'm taking the under, and especially given how the Bills like to operate, they usually like to run the ball, and if even if Taylor plays, they're probably going to try to be conservative with him. So I'd probably take the under there.
Okay, let's try to exploit people some more. What other matchups are you looking at this week?
That's our goal here. Yep. I like Saints versus Vikings, the first Monday night game on the slate. You're talking about terrible defenses. Saints,
ooh,
very bad defense, especially in the passing game and in the running game too. So I'm looking at Dalvin Cook. He's one of those rookies who has a lot of potential this year, and if I have him, I'm rolling him right out in week one. Against the Saints, really bad defense. I think he gets a lot of touches. I think they kind of see how he does playing in a dome in a nice environment to rack up some yards. And then on the passing side, you got Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is a little bit of a sleeper for me. I think he could see a lot of touches in the slot in the Vikings passing attack, even if the Vikings passing attack isn't that great. I think the Vikings started hot last year. I think they won their first 5 games, and this is a great opportunity for them at least to score a lot of points. So if you have Vikings players, I'd say take a look.
We love points in fantasy football. Now, you already made some bold predictions. You're known for doing this. Let's talk about some bold fantasy predictions in week 1. What's your hot take? And we have it on camera, so you can't retract whatever you're about to say right now.
All right. I'll just go for it. I'm going back to Jets Bills. I'm going to say the highest scoring fantasy player in week 1 is going to be the Bills defense.
Ooh.
Against the Jets. I think.
Man, I hope no Jets fans are watching this.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of ragging on the Jets a little bit, but let's be honest, they're going to have a tough time this year. I think the Bills playing against Christian Hackenberg, playing against an offense that really has nothing going for it without Quincy Enunwa. Robbie Anderson is their leading receiver right now, so I think the Bills could seriously do some damage.
I think they're going to have fun with that last name Hackenberg all season long. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the New York tabloids.
Yeah, they're witty over there. We'll give them that. They're very witty. My bold prediction is that I'm going to beat scrambled eggs in week 1.
That is a very bold prediction.
Going out there on a limb, saying I'm going to beat him.
I thought we weren't making fun of him or her anymore.
You're right. But, him or her. Okay, so it's so exciting that the NFL is back and we get to even be in this spot where we're talking about our starting lineups for this week. I mean, we've been talking about drafting for a number of weeks, but we're finally here. Chiefs, Pats, getting things started on Thursday night. This is going to be a fun one.
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot going on with this game. We'll be there, of course, with NESN.com, and we'll have a live show beforehand, so make sure you tune back in. But just in terms of the excitement surrounding the night, we got a banner. Coming in, and then Vince Wilfork having his retirement tailgate outside the stadium, and then Barstool Sports giving all of these Roger Goodell towels out of him in a clown shirt, right?
Yeah, clown outfit. Yeah.
Clown outfit. So it will be a very interesting one. As far as the game goes, the Pats are favored by 8.5 points by mybookie.ag. What are you expecting out of this one?
I think there's going to be a lot of excitement here. I think they're going to come out of the gate firing. I mean, the Chiefs. I think just going back, it's interesting. The last regular season game that the Patriots played against the Chiefs was that 2014 game. When the Chiefs kind of took care of business in Arrowhead Stadium, and kind of see how far the Patriots have come since then. Yeah, I think I see the Patriots taking care of business here. Would you say it was 8 points, 8.5? 8.5 points.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that much higher, but I think the Patriots win by 10 points, a solid 10 points. And cover. I think it'll be very exciting for me to see the Patriots' new weapons, see what Mike Gillislee can do, Rex Burkhead can do, and then Brandon Cooks and Dorsett in the passing game. There might be a little bit of growing pains in the beginning. Chiefs have a pretty solid defense that can create turnovers, but I think Patriots limit turnovers and kind of stick to the game plan. They'll be fine.
Well, I'm sure many Patriots fans, I mean, look, they always want their favorite players on their fantasy football roster, so I'm sure you might have drafted a running back or a wide receiver from the team. Now, what do they do in this first game? Because we're really not sure how these weapons are going to be used. I know you personally, you drafted wide receiver Chris Hogan, and then you drafted Mike Gillislee.
Yes.
So maybe tell us what you're planning on doing.
Yeah, this is pretty tough. I think I'm avoiding Gillislee. Just my other options right now, I have LaShawn McCoy and then Darren McFadden. So if Ezekiel Elliott is out, I have to go with McFadden, just the Dallas Cowboys line there. I might give Hogan a start at wide receiver. I think he could see some big plays, and he's kind of one of Tom Brady's most trusted targets going into the season, just because Cooks and Dorsett weren't there last year. Malcolm Mitchell doesn't have a whole lot of experience, so obviously you have Gronk there. But I think Hogan could make some noise. But again, Patriots skill players in general. I hear you. It's very frustrating.
Yes. Well, I can say confidently that you should play Tom Brady if you have him on your team.
Yes.
Okay, that will do it for
Expert
this
advice.
week of Fantasy Fix. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck in your drafts if you haven't already drafted yet, and good luck in week 1. We will see you next week.